And that can have an impact on your garden and your yard. And this morning, Dan Gill is here from the LSU Ag Center to talk about what we need to know when it comes to rainy weather. Good morning. Yeah, you know, rain can be good because it waters the garden, but too much rain can have an adverse effect.
It can, and what we primarily see when we have an extended period of rain. Now, we have a big rain one day, the water drains off fairly well, and that's not a big issue. But when we have a rain every other day for a week or more, that keeps the ground saturated. Now, plant roots down in the soil, we don't think about it, but there's air down in that soil, the little air pores. When those get filled with water and stay filled with water for days at end, then the roots are deprived of the oxygen that they need. This makes them sick. They stop working as well. They don't absorb the water the plant needs. And this can lead to disease problems as well. So one of the main issues we have with rainy weather would be root rots, you know, problems with our root systems on our plants, but also foliar leaf spots and foliar diseases are more encouraged by that as well.
So what should people do if they fear that their lawn or their plants are victim of root rot?
Well, there's not much you can do once it occurs. So the main thing that we do is we're proactive. And you'll notice as you look around New Orleans that when you look at vegetable gardens, flower beds, shrub beds, they're all elevated. We build our beds a good 8 to 12 inches higher than the surrounding soil. These raised beds are critical when we have this rainy weather. So again, we have to be proactive about this. Make sure you're gardening in raised beds.
Okay, and then what about vegetable gardens? How does it affect the vegetable gardens?
Well, vegetables are especially prone to diseases, and they're especially destructive to them. Now, the interesting thing about many of these leaf fungal diseases that attack the foliage, the leaf has to be wet for the spore to land and cause an infection. If the leaf is dry, the spore just lands on it and blows away. So the more the leaves stay dry, the fewer foliar diseases we have. The more they stay wet, like with an extended rainy period, the more opportunity the fungal spores have to germinate and cause infections. So after a rainy period like this, apply a fungicide to your vegetables to help reduce diseases, because once they flare up, it's hard to deal with them. Organic option would be a copper-type fungicide, or chlorothalonil or daconil is a good fungicide to control some of these vegetable diseases, and they're really out there right now with all the rain that we've been having. So you don't want your vegetables to get too badly damaged.
What kind of problems have you heard from gardeners? I know you have a radio show and you hear from a lot of gardeners. What are the problems they're dealing with right now?
Well, the leaf spots that we're looking at include a Cercospora leaf spot on crepe myrtles. So if you see crepe myrtles in the next few weeks getting leaf spotted and dropping, that's going to be caused by this period of rain that we've had here just recently. In addition, we've got some issues with gardeners trying to decide what to plant this time of the year. As we get into June, people start thinking, oh, it's too late to plant anything. Well, flowers can be planted now, so check your local nurseries. There are all kinds of bedding plants. You'll find them in full bloom right now that love the heat. And if you've got some vegetables coming out of your vegetable garden, maybe some snap beans or something have finished up, continue to plant great heat-tolerant crops like southern peas and okra. So again, keep your gardens beautiful in flowers and productive in vegetables through the summer. The heat doesn't bother them if you choose the right plants.
Now, if you fear that some of your plants have gotten too much water, is there something you could do to help dry them out? I'm thinking about a potted plant I have in my front yard.
Well, you know, I would tell people if you have a collection of container plants, and some of them you know don't like a lot of rain, say you have some succulents and cacti, when we have a rainy period like this, move them under shelter so they aren't constantly getting bombarded with the rain, and that will help them out some as well.
We've got to be proactive.
And watch the weather and think about it with your plants.
Thank you so much, Dan Gill. We have much more. We're going to be back in the kitchen right after.